I call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business is roll call.
Okay. Adams. Here. Akers. Here. Oh, shoot. There we go. Alberts. Here. Anders. Here. Archer. Arnaldi. Here. Bergeston. Here. Bogener. Here. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Bowler. Here. Breen. Brickwood. Here. Dines. DeMarkville. Was that a here? Yeah. Okay. Dahl. Here. Elliott. Here. Flores. Flores. Fuller. Here. Garcia. Here. Garrity. Here. Grandy. Here. Hickerson. Henderson. Jeez. Here. Hyen. Here. Ho. Hughes. Here. Jackson. Here. Jewell. Here. Kallenberger. Here. Kelly. Here. Kidd. Here. Klein. Here. Lawner. Lonkener. Maples. Here. Markle. Here. Martin. McDermott. Here. McIntyre. Martinez. Meyer. Here. Mindrup. Nichols. Here. Needry. Here. Nordstrom. Here. Ogren. Here. Orth. Here. Oxler. Penny. Here. Peason.
Papoon.
Papoon. Hey, there you are. Pitts. Here. Prewitt. Prewitt. Here. Renz. What's that?
Rossempor.
Rossempor?
Here.
Sorry.
Well, that was right.
Oh, good. Swanson.
Here.
Tedrow. Here. Thomas. Here. Tuttle. Here. Valdez. Here. Wishcop. Wishcop? No. Works.
Here. Oh, Zwick.
Zwick. Here. Cool. All right, 47 senators present.
And you can keep scrolling down to the interns.
Oh, intern. Sorry, guys.
This is Caitlin Doherty. She's our new secretary for this year. So, yeah.
Thanks. All right, Bothwell.
Here.
Carpenter. Cruz. Here. Dahl. Here. Grammon. Here. Grover. Here. Hornmug. Got it. Horton. All right. Hoskin. I'm going to get it, I promise. Hugoton. Jabin. Thanks. Cackley. Keckley. All right. Carmelin. How is it? How do you say it? I swear, we're gonna get it.
Karanja. Yeah, how do you pronounce
How do you pronounce it?
Please.
Karanja? We gotta get some. Okay, Kellerman. King. McAdam. Malberger. McIndless. Is it Meinhardt? Yeah, cool. Okay, Petcher? Pelton? Ooh, here we go. Putman? Roth? Ruth? Yay! Cool, Rodriguez. Salvino? Savarino. Thanks. SCUAU? Shall. I like it. Okay. How do you say that? Chimlin? All right, Wheeler? Winterman? Whitmeyer?
Whitmer.
All right. Zwick?
Witzke.
All right, and then go out.
ZAJIC. Is it Zyke? Yep. There we
Sweet.
go.
All right. Sorry about that.
How many interns do we have present?
All right, 28 senators present, 47 senators present.
With that, we'll move into first open period. Just a quick reminder to please close your laptops during first open period. And our first speaker tonight is Camilla Roberts, Director of the Honor and Integrity System. Feel free to come on up. Yeah.
Good evening. I just wanted to take a couple minutes of your time to tell you a little bit about the Honor and Integrity System and what occurred last year in particular, and some things that are on plan for this year. Last year, we had a total of 153 cases submitted to us. That is a little bit down, which probably could be good. Good news that we have fewer cases. The year before, just to give you a comparison, we had 289. But the year before had some anomalies to it. We normally average around 175 to 200 cases. So 153 is just a little bit lower than what we normally have. Some things that I want to just mention to you, some highlights of statistics from last year's academic year, is that one, a lot of people think that Honor Pledge violations only occur in their freshman or sophomore years, where over 50% of our cases were from juniors and seniors. And so that is kind of disturbing that where students are here at K-State for at least a couple years and they still haven't quite figured out how to be academically honest, how to do their own work. But there might be also other reasons that they're getting into harder classes, they're getting into the stressful situations that they have to make a certain grade in a certain course. So there could be any reason for that. But I would encourage you to share with your peers that the Honor and Integrity System is not just something that freshmen and underclassmen have to deal with. It is all grades, or all levels, even our graduate students have academic integrity violations. The top two violations that we see consistently, and this year again, were plagiarism and unauthorized collaboration. And so if you are not sure how to cite material correctly, I encourage you to go learn that, talk to your professors, talk to your librarian, learn that information, and have your peers learn as well. Some of the things that we're rolling out for this year, we do have a brand new brand, and it's entitled that, and you probably have started seeing, hopefully on some digital signs, more posters will be going out very soon, but it's the idea of a family built on trust, with us in trust kind of brought out. So the idea is very much of a proactive approach that academic integrity at K-State is not just on the students. It is on the faculty members as well. It is us as a community have to build that level of academic integrity for the campus. We're focusing on 3 words: choice, learning, and promise, that Students have a choice of what kind of student they want to be. Do they want to come prepared to class? Do they want to clarify with their instructor? Do they want to uphold the idea of academic integrity? The idea of learning, that you're here to learn something. You're all here to hopefully get a degree. And many times, academic dishonesty concerns, that's where learning stops. I give an example for a lot of classes that I talk to that if you were to buy a paper online, what learning occurs there? You learned how to put a credit card information into the computer, but you haven't learned anything else. And so many times that academic integrity stops that learning. Thankfully, from our end at least, we hope that you learn through our process though too, that you learn even through those sanctions that students might have, whether it be that XF or maybe the development and integrity class, they learn through that process as well. Then the final word, so we talked about choice, learning, and the final word is the idea of promise. That as a reminder that you have the honor and integrity system there, the honor pledge that when you first enrolled in classes and all students enrolled in classes, they signed up to follow. Whether it's a very minor offense or a very major offense, you've decided to follow that. And so we're very excited about this new brand. We're hoping it's going to be a lot more proactive, a lot more positive in nature. But we encourage, as every year, we encourage you to go to your peers and talk to them about the honor and integrity system, talk to them about the honor pledge, because if you think about it, the honor pledge and the honor and integrity system is what is upholding your degree. When you get it, or if you already have one degree from K-State, it's making sure that your degree is going to be worth something. And I personally do have a degree from K-State, and I want my degree to be worth something, so I'm really relying on the current students at K-State now to continue that. So I will be happy to answer any questions you might have. We do have a full report that is on our website that has a lot more statistics in it, but I didn't want to get into a lot of that with you unless you had questions specific.
Any questions for Director Roberts? Director Moore?
Yes. So the honor and integrity system, there was actually a cheating scandal, what you might call, in 1994. And it was in a biology class, and it entailed a group of students who were able to take a quiz early. And the teacher, as they went along the semester, the quiz grades started getting better and better. And what he found out when he investigated, because we didn't have an honor and integrity system, he found out that students who were taking it early were simply memorizing the answers and slowly passing it along to people in the class. At that point, since we didn't have a system, he did everything on his own. And he actually ended up giving 75 of those students Fs in the class. And that caused quite a commotion at K-State, and it actually caused a lot of national attention to come to K-State, and a lot of negative national attention, very much like what we've seen at some of the cheating scandals that have occurred recently at Harvard, at UNC Chapel Hill. And so it was actually members of student government who were going out, and a lot of them were trying to get internships or jobs, and they were having employers ask them, why should we value your degree, or why should we value your education when it says it comes from K-State, when all we're hearing on the news is all about this cheating at K-State? And you know how sometimes media might over portray things, and so it was made out to be that everybody at K-State was a cheater. And so it was, at that point, provost at that point was Provost Kaufman, and they created a task force to look at what other Big 12 schools were doing, what our benchmark schools were doing. And so we were originally rolled out in 1999 as just an undergraduate honor system, and then we later changed our name to Honor and Integrity System, and we also now incorporate all the graduate students as well.
Any further questions for Director Roberts? Sorry, Caucus Leader Kidd.
Thank you. So if someone's interested in joining the Honor Council, how would they go about doing that?
Great question. And I do have a note here actually for that. We do have representatives from every college on campus represented on the Honor Council. However, I'll make a plea right now. We do still have student representatives open for arts and sciences, business administration, and architecture, planning, and design. So if you are from one of those colleges, or you have friends from one of those colleges, sitting on the Honor Council, those are the individuals who sit and hear cases to determine did a violation occur or did it not. It is not overly time consuming. We ask that people sit on maybe 1 or 2 cases a semester. So it is a great way to get involved in the university. The best way to get involved in that is you can email me just at honor@ksu.edu, and we can send you the application for that. But and if you're not part of one of those colleges, we might still have other places that you might be able to fill in some special roles. So if it's something that you're interested in, I encourage you to do it. And you can do it while you're a student senator. All of our hearings are during the day. Your student senate meetings are in the evening. So you can do both.
Further questions, Director Moore?
For the violation report, can only professors fill those out?
No, anybody can fill them out, and our report is 100% online now. We are using the Maxient system, which is a system that is also used by Student Code of Conduct. And so on the university-wide report it page, we are listed there, or on our website, there is a report form there that you can go to, and anybody can go to it.
Intern Keekly?
Do you require a certain age and your year in schooling or other requirements to join?
You do have to be a sophomore or higher. Yes. And for those graduate students go through Graduate Student Senate, Graduate Student Council to apply.
Question right up there.
Yeah, how many student representatives do you take from each college?
It depends. Different colleges are different. Arts and sciences, I'm going by my memory right now. Most of the colleges are 4. I believe arts and sciences is 6. I think everybody else is 4.
Further questions? Seeing none, thanks for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our second first open period speaker is Maddie McClellan, President of the Student Foundation.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Good to see you. So, like Jonathan said, my name is Maddie McClellan. I'm currently a senior studying finance and apparel marketing, and I'm originally from Palco, Kansas. And like he also said, I'm currently serving as the president of Student Foundation. So I met with Steven Kuchera last week, and he asked if I wanted to come share a little bit more about how Student Foundation operates with you guys. So that's why I'm here today. So I'll be giving you guys a brief overview of what we do, also our connection to the K-State Foundation, and talk a little bit more about how we work to advance the mission of the K-State Foundation. So a little bit of an overview. Our membership is composed of 42 members. So if you're in Student Foundation, can you raise your hand? 4. Yes, and Tendai's in it too, but I don't know where he is. Hey, buddy. Yeah, so we have some good crossover here. So if you have questions further past tonight, definitely go to them and ask. So that membership really works to ignite a culture of philanthropy on our campus. And the primary ways that we do that are through 2 campaigns. So the first is Why Give Week, which Ethan and Max are working to really get behind and get off the ground in November. So that will be the second week in November. So please participate in our tabling events. We really work to connect you on the motive behind philanthropy. And then I hope most of you have heard of the K-State Proud campaign, whose motto is Students Helping Students. So we just had a volunteer training tonight, and we had 70 students come learn how to advocate for our campaign and really act as ambassadors for K-State Proud. So just so you guys know, we are currently in our 12th year of K-State Proud, and we have raised $1.13 million for students in financial distress. And that translates to 634 Student Opportunity Awards. And those are actually selected by our peers, by students. So they work with Larry Mader as the Director of Financial Aid, I think is his title. And they review cases submitted by students every single week. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the dire financial need and the need for more need-based scholarships on our campus. So this is a really great way as a student that you can put action behind that belief that we need those awards. So I would really encourage you to connect with the campaign, whether that means donating for a shirt, or if that means volunteering for K-State Proud, or even just advocating for our campaign. will actually be back here. We're running early edition in the month of October to give all of you a direct connection to donate for the campaign and go ahead and start being an ambassador for K-State Proud. So we also have an event on Saturday, the tailgate. So I hope you guys are going to the game. So it's at 10:30 to 1:30 in the North Rec parking lot. And hope to see you there. There will be Cox Brothers Barbecue, and you can also donate for a K-State Proud hat there. So to wrap it back up, the foundations part in Student Foundation, I'm sure that's where maybe a lot of your questions might be stemming from. They really support us financially and personnel-wise by giving us a great budget to extend opportunities for students to connect to philanthropy. So they give us advisors. They also incorporate us into their budget. I know that relationship is currently being worked on. I know Jordan and Olivia and Steven were in a meeting with Greg Lums, the CEO of the foundation, and that's definitely something that Student Foundation has their eyes on now and is working towards the same mission to advocate and get student voices along the strategy of the foundation. So I think that's all I have to say. And now, any questions?
Any questions for President McClellan? Seeing none, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We suspended the rules to sing happy birthday to Jonathan and Andrew.
Okay. It's moved and seconded to suspend the rules to sing happy birthday to Andrew and I guess myself. This requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Trent, that means you have to lead us. Go ahead and stand on up. Thank you all so much, and thank you, Trent, for doing that. I wonder who put you up to it. With that, we'll move into our final open period speaker, Mackenzie Weber with Cats for Cans. Is Mackenzie here tonight? Yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Awesome. Come on up.
Hi guys, my name is Mackenzie Weber, and I am the campus liaison for SAC, which is Student Athletic Advisory Committee, and we are the governing system over student athletics. And our goal this year is really to bridge the gap between student organizations and our student athletics, and that's why I'm here to talk about our first philanthropy event, which is Cats for Cans. Has anyone heard about it or participated in it from the football games? Yeah, okay, so this year we're trying to expand our outreach to the campus by filling a Power Cat on Tuesday, October 17th, on Basco Plaza. And so we're trying to get the more wear out and get the word out that we are trying to give it back to Flint Hill Breadbasket. And also right now we're in the works of giving it to the Cats Covered, as that just opened this past week. So we're hoping to help the student body as well. So I'm here to talk to you guys about possibly volunteering on that Tuesday from 12 to 2 to help us fill the Power Cat on campus. I have a sheet. It's kind of janky. It's just a piece of paper, but it has your phone, email. I'd really appreciate it if you guys did that. Also, if you guys would be interested in doing a competition between student organizations and student athletic, a canned food drive, and see who can raise the most, so then we can also contribute those cans to fill in the Power Cat, as well as we already got donations from the local grocery stores and hopefully Aggieville too. So I'm just here to talk to you guys and also outreach that if you guys need anything from student athletics at all for any student government, we're here, and we want to contact, type me in on email, I'll pop up, and I would love to just get the bridge gapping, because student athletics, we're a part of the campus, and you guys make a real big difference, and we want to help make this campus better. So yeah, and that's why I'm here. So.
Any questions for Ms. Weber?
Okay, great. Here it is. Where should I start it? I'm in the back corner, so just finish there if you guys are interested at all. Yeah, and then I'll send an email out with more detail if you sign up. So thank you guys so much.
With that, our next item of business is approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed. Are there any corrections? If not, Senator Papoon? It is moved and seconded to approve the minutes. If there are no objections, the minutes will be approved as presented. With that, we will move into approval of appointments. Is there a motion for Resolution 21? Senator Papoon? It is moved and seconded to consider Resolution 21. Would the author please come forward?
Resolution 171821, approval of new student senators by the Senate Operations Committee. Whereas there are 2 vacancies in the position of student senator for the College of Arts and Sciences, and whereas Caleb Dynas and Stephen Cafera received the next highest vote totals in the College of Arts and Sciences in the last Student Governing Association election, be it resolved that Section 1, Caleb Dynas and Stephen Cafera be approved as student senators for the College of Arts and Sciences.
All right. Are there any corrections? If no corrections, first right to debate.
It's what the bylaws say to do, and we did it. That's all I got.
With that, is there any further debate? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Valdez. Is there a second? Second. It is moved and seconded to approve Resolution 21 unanimously. If there are no objections, it is approved unanimously. With that, will Stephen Cafera and Caleb Dynas come to the front? Are either of them with us tonight? Awesome. With that, we will keep moving forward then. Our next item of business is committee reports. The committee reports were included with the agenda. Are there any questions for any of the committee chairs? Seeing none, we can move to directors' reports. Are there any directors that would like to give a report? Director Kratz.
Okay, everyone. As per my promise, backed by unpopular demand, I'm going to give a nonpartisan review of the Kansas budget crisis in my role as State Relations Director. It's my job to keep you all informed of what's going on in the legislature, and since there's nothing going on right now, I wanted to give some background. So this is a nonpartisan view. I included that just for Bill, but he's not even here, so. Okay, so the Kansas budget is roughly $15 billion per year, and it comes from a variety of sources. So $4 billion from the feds, $5 billion from the fuel tax, so every time you fill up your car, college tuition, we all know what that's like, and lottery sales. And then $6 billion comes from the state general fund, which comes from a variety of sources, mostly income tax and sales taxes. Until recently, Kansas has mostly relied on what it calls a 3-legged stool, so that's property, sales, and income taxes. And of this state general fund, the legislature has complete control unless they choose to defer to the governor, which they have done a couple of times in recent years. So there's a pie chart, so about 50% is K-12, higher education 12%, human services and health are 27%, public safety and general government. Okay, so from the beginning, there was the Great Recession in 2008. So we were making really great progress in Kansas recovering from this recession. The housing market, as you all know, crashed. They bailed out the auto companies. So Kansas, having no really auto companies here, we were doing pretty well recovering from that recession. However, the big thing is that public sector job growth, so like nurses, teachers, everything, it was really outpacing private sector job growth. In 2010, Governor Sam Brownback, that is what he campaigned on. He was going to basically turn that around and shrink the size of the state government and slow that public sector growth and really stimulate private sector growth. So yeah, he wanted to cut taxes for all Kansans. So with him in that election, there was a wave of very conservative legislators in the House of Representatives, and they kind of took power from this moderate Republican Democrat governing coalition that flourished under Governors Kathleen Sebelius and Mark Parkinson. But they did not take over the Senate because the elections for governor and the state Senate are on offsetting years. So they failed to pass in 2011 and 12. Then what one of my friends calls affectionately the Great Rhino Hunt of 2012 is when all these moderate Republicans and Democrats were just obliterated in the midterm elections, and with the help of Governor Brownback and a bunch of small government interest groups like Americans for Prosperity, the Koch Network, things like that. So they kind of took over, and the very conservative faction was in control. So then in 2013 is when the tax package was actually passed. So it would do two things. Make businesses, so if you've heard of LLCs, limited liability corporations, it took their taxes to zero. So they paid no taxes if you owned an LLC. Made them completely tax exempt. And the theory behind this was that the business owners would then take that money they're saving from taxes and use it to create jobs. Well, they did not include any kind of provision to incentivize businesses to do that. So what they did is they just kept the extra money and didn't really create any jobs. So, and then the second part was increase the sales tax, which they had to do because revenues were so low. So basically things like food, cars. My fiance and I just bought a car and paid 10% on the sales taxes, so that was a lot of fun. Basically everything like that went up. So Kansas has the second highest sales tax on food in the country, second only to Mississippi. So as a result of this tax restructure, the gap between rich and poor widened, and the working and middle classes paid a larger share of their earnings in taxes. And as I said before, the private sector job growth never materialized. The business owners just kind of took that money and kept it. And you'll hear Secretary of State Chris Kobach talk about this sometimes, that we've had record numbers of private business filings in Kansas. Well, yes and no, because it's just existing businesses who are reorganizing as LLCs to take advantage of the tax cuts. So yes and no, mostly no. Yeah, and they had no incentive to use the tax breaks. So,
Time for the speaker has expired. Is there a motion to extend? Speaker Pro Tem Mignani. It's moved and seconded to extend by 10 minutes. If there's no objections, you have 10 more minutes.
Okay, thank you. I hopefully won't take that long. So the gap between what the state general fund took in and what it spent widened, which created, that's what a deficit is. So with a deficit of $840 million in 2017, and Kansas has in its constitution a provision where we cannot have a deficit at the end of the fiscal year. So basically we are constitutionally obligated to make up that $840 million. So a lot of this went from cuts, including higher education was not spared. We were cut by $30.7 million, which is a 4% cut. And K-State and KU were disproportionately affected because of our large research budget. So the way they kind of structured the cuts was not really fair to us and the Jayhawks. So I've included like kind of this chart. I have it. If you're interested, I can send it to you. Blah, blah, blah. It just kind of shows the decline of state funding and the increase in what K-State gets from tuition. And as does this. So it shows the blue line is the amount of money that we get from the legislature, and the yellow line is how much we get in tuition money. So, but we're not alone in this. A lot of different states have, declining investment in higher education, and they rely more on tuition. And then a good quote from Regent Dennis Mullen in a meeting that I was in with him. The cost of higher education has not shifted. What's shifted is who's paying for it. So we're paying increasingly more, and the legislature and the Kansas taxpayer are paying increasingly less, despite the research saying that investing in higher education is a public good for a state. So we made a lot of gains, though. So this past legislative session, in 2016, some moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans made gains again. So they were I was heavily involved in some of these campaigns, and basically all we had to do was knock on a door and say, hey, we're campaigning against Brownback. Good, you've got my vote. So now there's a roughly 30-30-30 split in the House between conservative Republicans, moderate Republicans, and Democrats, and a 40-40-20 split in the Senate, which is, between the conservatives who believe that the tax cuts need more time and blag the depressed ag and energy sectors for the deficits, which is partly true. Democrats who want to raise taxes even higher, and then the moderate Republicans who believe the answer is somewhere in the middle. So the coalition passed a retroactive tax increase on LLCs, what they did. So I'm sorry if you or your parents own an LLC corporation, because that means you'll be paying 18 months of taxes instead of 12 months, which is how it normally is. But that's going to raise $1.2 billion. However, as early as 2019, the budget will again be out of balance with an estimated shortfall of $500 million. And higher education could get cut again, despite a unified front from the students, the Board of Regents, the chief lobbyists like Sue Peterson here at Kansas State. So we are lobbying almost undividedly for a restoration of the 4% cut. So we want that $30 million back. So in conclusion, no matter your political beliefs, please get involved. Please vote. The 2018 governor and House elections are going to define whether we go kind of back to this system or if we continue to move forward. Look up your state representatives and senators. There's a website right there that I included, but most of you know I took a poll in the first Senate, and most of you know who that is. And then stay informed. Please follow the hashtag KSLeg on Twitter in the spring. That's going to follow all the debates from guns to the budget to everything. And then these people are reporters for the various newspapers. Brian Lowry for the KC Star, Hunter Woodall for Lawrence. So please follow these people and stay informed, and above all, vote. Do we have any questions?
Any questions for Director Kratz?
All right.
Are there any upcoming events that students can get involved in?
Yes, and I think that Senator Pitts has a better idea of those dates than I do offhand.
Oh, I was
Called out.
expecting you to talk about legislative advocates.
Yes, so we have we formed a group called the Legislative Advocates who we're going to lobby for these, advocate for these kind of things in the spring when the legislature convenes. We have several senators, we have several interns who have joined, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. And if you're at all interested, please contact me. I'll give you some dates for when we're going to Topeka, things like that.
Just a friendly reminder, you can't ask questions you know the answer to. Any further questions for Director Kratz?
All right.
If not,
I am
thank
James
you.
Kratz, and I approve this message.
All right. Any further director's reports? Awesome. We're going to have the Big 12 SGA conference report here real quick. So.
All right. Working? Somebody can get started. I can get started, I guess. All right. So let's see. Is everybody up here that was there? Where's Colby? All right, Colby, you just sit in the back. That's cool. Colby Works was also with us on this trip. So it was, I'll say it's Colby, Sarah, That's right. And Jordan was there as well. Jordan's pulling up our PowerPoint. So really good Thursday, Friday, Saturday event there in Lubbock. Lots of, it was about, we probably brought the fewest number of students. Some schools had, close to 10 or so. So a pretty good number of students across the Big 12 getting to do a lot of different conversations about the way that different schools are handling some of the same challenges that we all face, as well as some of the innovative kind of components of each campus. So once we have our PowerPoint up, we can get going. Just want to make sure I'm not rambling, because that'll happen if I don't have a PowerPoint. Do you want to get started on some of the mental health? Say PowerPoint? Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. We'll wait for that.
Hosted us this year, and they will host the Big 12 on the Hill next year. So West Virginia hosted Big 12 conference in the fall last year. So this spring they're hosting the Big 12 on the Hill in Washington this year, and we have more information coming soon about who's hosting next year. Wink, wink. No.
I can get started on. Okay, I can get started on some of the presidents. So the Big 12 student body presidents all got together for our roundtable, and the main discussion, we spent the entire time talking about the recent Dear Colleague letter out of the Department of Education. Secretary DeVos released a new big Dear Colleague letter, which addressed Title IX. So Dear Colleague letters are the way in which the Department of Education communicates with its constituents, universities. And so the most recent Dear Colleague letter actually worked to rescind some of the suggestions made in previous Dear Colleague letters under the Obama administration. So what I think the main focus of the Dear Colleague letter is in regards to Title IX and the university's one, responsibility, and two, ways in which university can investigate sexual assault reports. So a lot of discussion was had about the way in which there was previously a standard of evidence required, which is called a preponderance of evidence, which is which was what was indicated by the Obama administration's Dear Colleague letters, and what the recent Dear Colleague letter indicated was that universities must use clear and convincing evidence, which is a step above preponderance of evidence for the sexual assault investigations. And so a lot of students, I think, across the board are rightly very concerned about it, and I know that a lot of the student body presidents, myself included, are concerned about the precedent that sets, and frankly, it goes in maybe a not so partisan answer, as James' report was, it takes a step in the wrong direction on sexual assault. But I think the key component that we talked about as Big 12 student body presidents is that these are recommendations, and their Dear Colleague letters do not have the force of a law. So our university, I don't think, will be forced to make a change to our sexual assault reporting policies legally. We're not legally bound to do that, and I think that's a very good thing because, like I said, I think this goes in kind of a negative direction, and that will be something we talk about here at Big 12 on the Hill when we get to that conversation here in a minute. No, you're good. I was going to say,
How far? Just because it goes out of order. Should we talk about the Big 12 on the Hill since it relates to? Okay.
Okay. So. Well, yeah, so I guess right. So Big 12, okay, so sorry this is disjointed. Like I said, it's incredible how much we rely on technology. Even somebody like me who doesn't know what that is. So Big 12 on the Hill, like I said, is a yearly event in the spring session. So it's previously been at the end of February or in March. Last year was in April. I think it'll be a little earlier this year in March. Yay. Perfect. So 5 representatives from each school will travel to Washington, D.C. to speak on behalf of Big 12 students. And we have isolated our set of priorities, which are not entirely solidified at this point. We'll solidify those with a series of conference calls here over the next couple months in our planning there for Big 12 on the Hill. So first and foremost with our priorities is DACA. We talked a lot about DACA and the way that impacts schools in the Big 12 and across the country, and that'll be something that I think will be coming to head right when we're in DC. I think time-wise of when this is going to be discussed in Congress will be very close to when we're there, so it could be a real crunch time and a real good opportunity to be there as part of that conversation, come up with a sustainable solution for dreamers in the United States. I'll let you talk about mental health if you want to.
One thing to add on to DACA as well. So Mary Bunaban has been working hard, the director of multicultural affairs on cabinet, with a few other people to come up with kind of a letter writing campaign. And so that was one thing that we talked a little bit about to other schools, and some schools had done note cards. So it was really good to get some ideas going forward, how we can all come together as a Big 12 conference. And then, like Yusila said, these are 3 other different things that we talked about moving forward. I'm gonna hit mental health is in like 2 slides. You're still
good.
Next, yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm just trying to give it the microphone apparently. That's the first time I've ever done that. So sexual assault, Title IX clarity, like I said, I think that one of the, the Dear Colleague letter that was written sounds very similar to Attorney General Sessions' report on DACA when it's like we're going to try to kick this can to the legislature. And so once again provides, I think, that opportunity for the legislature to come up with a sustainable long-term solution to the way in which we're interpreting Title IX. And so that'll be a part of that conversation as well. Finally, college affordability, if you want to click to the next slide. I know that we talk a lot about college affordability at the state level. I think that is where the bulk majority of the way that we can impact affordability at K-State. But there are some federal things. First is with the Pell Grant. So last year at the Big 12 on the Hill, we advocated for a year-round Pell Grant, allowing students to take courses in the summer, can apply for a Pell Grant in the summer, and that was passed by the legislature. So providing some positivity on that and using that as a springboard to say thank you for your work on that, especially the representatives who supported that, and then moving into asking for an increased dollar amount since it is so low compared to the way in which higher ed has increased the cost, at least for the students. Other components of college affordability are advocating for research funding. Any dollars that come in as components of research funding is less that the state has to provide and less that students have to provide. And that's something that we have seen an increase in last year, funding to the NIH. So continuing that positivity as well. We're specifically advocating for House Resolution 2526. It's called Post-Grad Act. It is about federally subsidized loans, allowing students to defer interest on those loans for a longer period of time to allow them to set up their jobs and their careers. And finally, open textbook funding. This is something that K-State, I think, is really a national leader on when it comes to open textbook initiatives. We have a group of faculty on campus that have done really... Sorry, I wasn't saying really. Yeah, whatever. All right, so what I was saying was it's really an excellent opportunity, I think, for us to reduce the amount of cost that goes to students and looking into ways in which there are a lot of initiatives specifically out at the Department of Education to encourage that across the country.
So now we're at the slide, almost getting there, to where I was going to talk about mental health. That's actually the next one, so never mind. So for this slide, this was kind of a culmination of ideas that we took from different universities. So this first one, the mobile Raider ID, so that's from Texas Tech. They're working to implement a mobile student ID card. So you have your physical copy, but they're also working to get kind of a digital copy as well. So if you don't have your ID present, you can use that, whether it's a game day, getting into a building, or even a test. And then another thing that was interesting at Oklahoma State was they have campus involvement advisors, so that it was within their SGA body, and it was individuals that would help connect students with different organizations or places to get involved on campus. So instead of maybe a student pushing a slide of 500 different organizations to a campus, students saying, here, get involved, really taking the time to sit down with that student, kind of figure out and navigate what type of passions they have or what interests they have, and really working to find a different type of organization within the breadth of all the organizations we have on campus that would really benefit that specific student. So that was really interesting. Lastly, on this slide, Iowa State was implementing a application for renters rating. So it's not totally in the works. It's still in the works, so it's not totally complete yet process-wise, but they're working to get surveys out to students to gather information on their landlords, whether it's leasing time periods. So I know they were mentioning Iowa State signs very, very, very early in the year, so signing your lease now for next year. So kind of a ridiculous timeline they were dealing with. That was one struggle that they worked to implement this. So for here, it could be things like pricing, how your landlord's responding to your living conditions, and then landlords would be able to have an incentivized program to get renter certification and badges. So students would then see that, oh, this landlord that I'm about to rent from has a good track record in the past with students. So that was another really awesome thing we learned from the conference. And now we're on the side of counseling services and mental health. So Sarah, Jordan, and I were able to attend a breakout session about mental health. And we were able to hear from different panelists from the Texas Tech University, whether it was from their student health center, their provost, a variety of people that were kind of able to talk about different breadths of mental health. So I believe this is at Texas Tech, right, Sarah, these numbers? So they currently have 14 professional staffs at the counseling services, 4 doctoral interns, and then they also have 25 therapists at their health center. And here at K-State, we currently have 4. So it was a little bit of an eye-opening of numbers-wise, and kind of an interesting year because Privilege Fee, that Sarah can talk to you a little bit more, is reviewing counseling services this year, so kind of a good number to look at. What was the ratio? Sorry, I'm asking a question, but what was the ratio, like 1 to 12?
Yeah, we should have about 12, like, they have more students than us, so if we wanted to kind of be on their level, we would have, well, not saying that's going to happen overnight, but that's kind of where they're.
Right, so it was really great at conference too to just kind of see that this is an important topic on all Big 12 campuses right now, and something we can work to further nationally and come together as a conference for. Another thing we talked about is an example of, like you can read, must not only think about mental illnesses but triggers. So up to 40% of women who take birth control can experience anxiety and depression symptoms. So that's just some type of, a little piece of information that maybe, students on campus aren't aware of, and something to bring back. Another thing that kind of caveats into something that's not on the slide is that they kind of talked about know your limits. So some schools were working to implement peer advocate programs like we currently just implemented last year. So it was a good reminder just as a friend or as a classmate, make sure to know your limits of providing resources to a student. So this kind of caveats into the Live Safe app. So at the Vice President's Roundtable, we talked a lot about campus safety and transportation, and I was kind of sitting there like, oh, we have a really cool Live Safe app, but I personally don't use it as much as I should. So that's something bringing back to take away is we have a really awesome application that you can watch friends walk from place to place. If you're walking home from the library at 3 a.m. and your roommate's sitting in your dorm room, they can physically watch you on the navigation map. So that was a good takeaway, is to make sure to push the Live Safe app that we currently have. It also has all the resource numbers available for different entities on campus. And I think that's all I had. And guess what? We're hosting next year. I don't know whose slide this was, but woo! So that was a piece of information we all learned while we were there. So next year we'll be hosting the Big 12 Conference in the fall, and I truly think that Manhattan's going to be a great place to host it. Lubbock was cool and all, but we kind of missed a little apple. So really exciting stuff. Yeah, is that it? And that's it. Does anyone have questions?
I didn't hear the first part of your question, but you're asking how the Privilege Fee funds. Okay, so I don't know if you know any of our, what? How does the funding compare? I need to ask them because they don't have something like our Privilege Fee that students get to choose where everything goes. K-State's really blessed because our administration trusts us so much to have students in charge of things like that. And so I think it's their administration that is in charge of that. So we can ask on numbers for how they get their funding and things like that. It's a good idea.
Further questions? If not, thank you all. Are there any further director's reports? President Ayers?
All right. right, sorry if you keep hearing me talk, but I'm going to be gone next week, so everybody can cheer about that. So I'll try to keep it under my 5 minutes. Okay, so a couple quick things going on. First of all, I'm sure a lot of people have been hearing about this College of Engineering fees proposals. There's a proposal to have a $15 increase in each department of the College of Engineering, and since they're individual fees in each department, they are under the dollar amount by which has to be approved by the Board of Regents. So that's something that has kind of been coming forward. It's been really, I'll be honest, really frustrating. It's something that students are really worried about. However, I want to provide some good positivity. Jonathan and I, since we're the co-chairs of the Tuition and Fee Strategies Committee, met with Provost Mason and Dean Dawson on Monday, and it was established that the fees would in fact go through the Tuition and Fee Strategies Committee to go through the normal review process by students, to where students can make a recommendation to the president. The president will go from there. And the board of, Provost Mason also, Jonathan, maybe, Speaker Puchin, maybe this is, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but she indicated, as far as we're concerned, that she was not very interested in sending 7 small fees forward to the Board of Regents. So it could be something, I think, that could be very, just on the student side of that, and making sure that students have a voice there. Speaking of Provost Mason, I just want to let everybody know the Provost Search Committee had their first meeting on Monday morning and had a lot of good discussions about what we're looking for in a provost. And so I think that search will be off to a good start, hopefully to have our applications and stuff going out in October. Third thing I want to call everybody's attention to is we will have our first Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee meeting on this coming Sunday, October 1st from 4 to 5 p.m. in the Center for Student Involvement. The Diversity Inclusion Advisory Committee is made up of representatives from across the campus and multicultural student organizations. And while we've met kind of informally in various groups, we'll have our meeting there on Sunday. I really appreciate the work that Director Bunaband's been doing to make that happen. Fourth, whatever it is, third thing, I want to give an update from the Kansas Board of Regents meeting. I presented about kind of our initiatives, specifically that work that Senator Kelly's been working on with the Diversity Inclusion Task Force. And I want to say that the Regents were extremely receptive to our requests. In fact, one of the things that task force will be looking into is creating a statewide Council of Chief Diversity Officers. So right now, all of our K-State administrators, such as the President, Provost, CFO, everybody goes to speak every month to be part of a statewide committee. But right now, Chief Diversity Officers do not participate in that. And President Myers stood up to give his report right before mine at the Board of Regents and said, I really think we ought to implement a Chief Diversity Officer Council. So I'm like, all right, 4-star General, let's make it happen. So really well received by the Board of Regents, and something that I think will be coming to place soon. Really appreciate the work that Senator Kelly is doing on that. Finally, last year, the Tuition and Fee Strategies Committee recommended to the President to pass an academic infrastructure support fee. $4 per credit hour that everybody's paying this semester generates about $1.9 million, $900,000 of which goes to pay off existing internal loans on our business building, and then $1 million goes to a fund that can be used to renovate academic classrooms across the campus. And I want to let everybody know we have created a working group, and we're going to get that process started, looking at data that exists now with classrooms, use of classrooms, and complaints that have come up at those classrooms. And we'll be ready to hit the ground running when all that money is in our bank in the spring to hopefully start construction projects on our first renovation or first big project summer of 2018. All right, what questions do we have?
Any questions for President Ayers?
Sorry, that was quick. I'm trying not to get buzzed out again.
You were under time.
Woo.
Great job. Are there any further directors' reports? Speaker Pro Tem Magnani.
Evening, everybody. I'll make this real quick. So I just wanted to update you guys. So as you know, like one of my positions this year is I have to come up with a diversity training session for the Student Senate body. So I've been working on that. Sometime next week, I'll be sending out an email with the politics just to kind of like have an idea of what people would like to see happen in a diversity training session and some other questions I'll ask. I'm working with an individual who's actually currently leading the K-State Administration's diversity training. Her name is Malia Mistrowski. You know, she's currently working with the Cats for Inclusion. She's been working with this thing called Building an Intercultural Learning Community Dialogue. And also, like, she has worked with the K-State Athletics with the training session. So I'm working with her to develop something for us. And also, to kind of like make it more interesting, I thought it would be pretty cool that I would get some student organizations that are also leaders like SAB, Black Student Union, all those other organizations, maybe get the exec and leadership to be part of our training as a way to kind of like hear conversation and build dialogue amongst those students. So keep an eye lookout for a Qualtrics survey. Lastly, some of you may remember this past summer I was sending out an email in regards about SGA Week. Those conversations, we had a meeting like a couple of weeks ago at the beginning of the semester, but we're going to continue those meetings. And our first meeting is actually going to happen this Sunday at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the CSI conference room. So that's when our SGA Week will take place. If you're interested in helping that or being part of that, text me, or I'll actually be in the CSI conference room, and you can have like a little discussion, maybe early, just for a quick 5 minutes in terms of preparation on Sunday. And then, as you guys know, I've also been working close with with the Care Office. They're all interested and would like to do an SGA sexual assault training, so I'm working with them on that. So keep an eye lookout. And then I've also been having Vice President Morris has been having a series of meetings with myself to kind of like come up with the First Amendment workshop series, because when you think about all the racial incidents that have happened on campus, sometimes we believe, First Amendment and hate speech, and how do we kind of like differentiate the both. So we're working on that. If you have an interest in helping with me at that, or come up with ideas of how a workshop series will look for the rest of the student body, please contact me or come and see me. And then lastly, we're gonna have caucus time. I know I promised you guys I'll try not to have as many caucuses, but we're gonna have caucus for interns. So it'll be for 10 minutes. So basically, interns, whatever college you enrolled in, go and find those caucuses. So the way we'll do this, we'll do it in an orderly fashion manner. It'll be about 10 minutes. But before we do that, questions?
Any questions for Speaker Pro Tem Mignani? With that, Speaker Pro Tem, would you tell all the caucuses where to meet?
Okay, so preferably I'll just have all the caucuses just meet where they met last time. So obviously Arts and Sciences, Arts and Sciences will stay in here, and then for interns, if you're enrolled in Arts and Sciences, find Victor Valdez, raising your hands up. For Ag, unfortunately Lacey's left, but find Sarah Needry, she's right there. Business, find Sarah McDermott. Senator McDermott, please raise your hand up.
Sarah.
Sarah. So you guys get the logistics behind it. So we're gonna have caucus time, find your caucus, and then meet the interns, and for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Can we go over how to pronounce it?
Hannah Markle. Hannah. Would you come here real quick?
I need help.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get going again. Our next item of business is final action. Would the author of Bill 3 please come forward? Are there any changes?
No changes.
First right to debate?
Yeah, so thanks to Jansen for introducing this for me last year. But pretty much what it is changing the language in our spending regulations where it says OSAS and ASSA Center for Student Involvement. And I know a question last week was, is this the only one that's going through? This is the only one that's going through as a statutes change. The other three are going to be coming through hopefully an introduction next week. And they are actually pulled out of their regular cycle, being changed, and then will be put back into the regular cycle. So this is the only one for statutes changes, but there's 3 more coming for per fee, and then we should be done.
Great. Any questions for Chair Needry? Seeing none, is there any further debate? If not, we'll proceed to vote. We'll proceed into a roll call vote. Yep.
All right, Adams. All right, Akers. Yeah. Alberts. How do you want me to do it?
Oh,
this?
Go ahead and click on that next one right there. Oh, no. Go to roll call votes. There you go. Number 3. And you put a Y on there for yes.
Oh, yeah, Adams abstained.
Okay, yep. Then put a in there. An A for abstain.
Okay.
Y for yes and N for no.
Okay.
All right. Good.
All right, sorry. All right, so Adams, Akers. Yay? Okay. Sorry, I'm slightly deaf, so you might have to speak up. Alberts.
Yes.
Anders.
Yes.
Archer.
Yes,
Arnaldi. Bergeston. Is that a yay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Bogener.
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Brickenrue.
Yes.
Sorry. D. Martinville.
Yes.
Sorry. Dahl.
Yes.
Elliott. Flores.
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Garrity.
Yes.
Grandy.
Yes.
Hendrickson. Hyen. Ho. Hughes. Jackson. Jewell. Kallenberger.
Yes.
Kelly. Kidd.
Yes.
Klein. Callner. Excuse me. Lonker. Lonkener. I got him. Maples.
Yes.
Markel. Markle.
Yes.
Okay. Martin. McDermott. McIntyre. Martinez.
Mertens.
Mertens. Meyer.
Yes.
Mindrup.
I don't have voting privileges, but sure.
So-
Go ahead and leave it blank.
Alright. Nichols.
Yay.
Needry.
Yes.
Nordstrom. Ogener.
Ogren.
Ogren.
Oh, yes.
Orth.
Yes.
Penny.
Pepin.
Papoon. There you go.
Yes.
Pitts.
Pruitt.
Pruitt.
Yes.
Renz. Ramspor.
Rostenfor.
Rostenfor.
Yes.
Sorry. Swanson.
Yes.
Tedrow? Thomas?
Yes.
Tuttle? Valdez? Witchcop? Works? Sawick? All right. So, we're looking for majority.
With a vote of 47 to 0, Bill 3 passes. With that, we'll move into second open period. First thing, I forgot to read through all of our announcements this week. So on the third page of our agenda, just a quick reminder that President Myers will be giving the State of the University address this Friday at 3:30 p.m. in Forum Hall. Also proxies for today, Kelly for Martin, Neetery for McIntyre, and Grandy for Archer. And also, turn it back on. Oh. And SGA Member of the Week goes to Vice Chair Faith Tuttle of the Governmental Relations Committee for stepping up and being Secretary last week. And our quote of the week this week is, "Democracy cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education." Franklin Delano Roosevelt. With that, are there any further speakers for second open period? Caucus Leader Rostenpour.
So you've all heard me talk about this concert. It's tomorrow. So, my house, 9 p.m. Get your pens out. Write down my address. It's going to be a good one. 1445 Laramie. 9 p.m. I'll see you there.
Any questions for Caucus Leader Rostenpour? If not, is there any further speakers for second open period? Speaker Pro Tem Mignani.
Just a quick reminder, of the Senate, SGA week, if you're interested in helping out, I'll be the CSI.
Great. Is there any further speakers for second open period? If not, there's no legislation to refer this week. Are there any announcement of Constitution and/or bylaw revisions? If not, we'll move into second roll call.
You want to take it?
You got it.
I can't do it.
You got it.
No, I can't. All right, Adams. Akers. Alberts. Andrews. Archer. Oh, shoot. I just put a...
Put it in the B category, the second category.
So, blank
Same
absent.
as before.
Okay. All right, Arnaldi. Ferguson. Bowgener. Bogner. Okay. Bowler. Breckerud. Dinez. Oh, no, gone. De Martinville. Dahl. Elliott. Flores. Fuller. Garcia. Garrity. Grandy. Dixon, yeah. No. Hyen. Ho. Hughes. Jackson. Jewell. Kallenberger. Kelly. Kidd. Klein. Lochner. Nope, gone. Maples. Markle. Martin. McDermott. McIntyre. Yeah. Myers. Mindrup. Okay, sorry, it just shows up.
We'll get
No.
it corrected.
Nichols. Needry. Nordstrom. Ogener. Ogren. Orth. Penny. Papoon. Pitts. Pruitt. Renz. Robsonpour. Swanson. Tedrow. Thomas. Tuttle. Valdez. Wishkop. Works. Zwick. All right, interns. Bothwell. Carpenter. Cruz. Dahl. Gammon. Grover. Hornung. Horton. Hoshkinson. Houghton. Yabin. Keeley. Karmali. Canha.
Is Karanja? There we
Oh.
go. How was that said again? Karanja. There we go.
Karanja. There, we'll get it. Okay. Kellerman. King. McAdam. Mallenberg. McCandless. Meinhardt. Peckart. Pelton. Putnam. Roth. Rodriguez. Alvarino. Shao. Chumlin. Wheeler. Whitman. Zweek. Sorry. Witzke. Jeez. Zeke. There we go. No? All right. Zyke. There we go. All right, 44 senators present, 28 interns present. Second roll call.
With that, is there a motion to adjourn? Speaker Pro Tem Mignani. Is there a second? If there's no objections, we'll be adjourned. You got better.